everything would have changed.
Because then it would have got to the point where you would have felt a lump or something, right?
I asked about that. I said, so what would have happened if I would have waited till 40? If I just would have said, I don't need this. I know there's no family history. I'll never have breast cancer, which is what I really thought.
Right.
And, of course, it's hard to say without knowing, but I'm told I may not have ever felt anything. But by that point, it would have been like, not only do you have breast cancer, but you've got brain cancer, you've got lung cancer, you've got, it would have metastasized to parts of my bodies. And that would not have been such a promising prognosis.
No. Everything would have changed. All the rules would have changed.
Yep.
So you opted for
a partial mastectomy. Because the mass was so small.
Right.
It just, I was like, just remove it. I felt confident because it was so small that they could get it. I knew when they did the surgery that there's a possibility that they may end up doing a mastectomy.
Right.
If they found it had spread.
Right.
I'd had an MRI done before surgery, which showed that the cancer was just central to the mass. But I was also told that sometimes those aren't accurate. So
they would only know once they got in there and saw.
Right.
Okay.
And that they didn't even know my treatment until surgery. So, I was telling my employer, well, I don't know when I'll be back because we don't know what's going to happen. So, but the cancer was just central to the mass. They did remove 3 lymph nodes, although they were not cancerous. The surgeon just felt they were swollen, so she just took them out. Yeah. And then that was it. My partial mastectomy was the same day surgery. And so, it took about 2 hours. And then I spent more time in recovery than actually surgery because I felt really nauseated and they didn't let me go home. And I just needed some chicken nuggets was all. They wouldn't even they had no food there.
Yeah, you're not supposed to eat before you're...
I mean, I know it's not gourmet, but I'm like, really? You're giving me applesauce? I haven't eaten for like 16 hours. Can you go up to the Wendy's and get me something?
Spicy chicken nuggets.
So they let me go home finally about 8 hours after the surgery.
Wow.
Yeah. It was really hot in that room too. I just remember being hot. I'm like, okay, really? Can you turn on the air? And they just thought it was me being crazy. But, I went up, my mom took me home and I went to sleep and then I woke up a few hours later and we went for a walk just around my little apartment community. And she made dinner for me like all good moms would do after their daughter has a partial mastectomy.
Right.
And that was pretty much it. I had no complications from surgery. I was expecting to start radiation right away.
Right.
But of course, it was summertime. My partial mastectomy was July 1st, and people go on vacation.
Right.
So and you do need to heal. So then I started radiation 6 weeks after that, and it was determined I did not need chemotherapy because of the mass size.
Okay, great.
Also, they look for what's called hormone receptors, and depending on what those are, it also determines if you need chemotherapy.
It is amazing to me how just in 20 years, just in 5, let's just scope it down to 5, in 5 years, how far they've come in treating breast cancer, because it's not just cancer.
Right.
It is many things.
Yes.
It is many different types, depending on you, depending on your DNA, depending on all your genetic makeup. And how they treat each, they can't treat it all the same.
Right.
It requires a very specific cocktail of treatment.
It does.
And they have to investigate you. It's all about you.
Yes.
Isn't it weird how the cancer really is about, it's very tailored.
Yeah, it is weird.
And it sounds weird to say that, but it is.
It is, and not only with
you.
breast cancer, with other types of cancer. And I was being prepared to expect a stage 4 situation, which is like a late stage cancer because of my age. And it's not normal for people my age to have necessarily an early stage. They classified it as what's called a stage 2. But normally people my age have, the mass is very large, it's very advanced, it's aggressive, and that was not the case.
Now, what is it significant about your age? Because you're younger? Because
I'm younger.
Right.
Usually in younger people, it's more aggressive. It's harder on the body.
Under the age of?
I think it's just, I'm not sure why. I don't know if it has to do with like estrogen, but typically the younger you are, the worse it is. And then sometimes, and that can happen when you're older, but the older you are, the less likely it is to be as aggressive.
Wow.
They believe that breast cancer is caused by estrogen, but they're still trying to figure all that out.
Right.
So my oncologist had me meet with someone who does do chemotherapy, a medical oncologist, because he was like, your age, it's not showing all the typical signs that we see someone in your age. I just want to be sure that we're really treating this so you're not coming back in 6 months. And,
right.
And, oh, here it is again, we missed something. So, but the medical oncologist didn't think that I needed chemotherapy. He did tell me, he's like, no, if you really want it, we'll give it to you. I'm like, okay, who wants that?
You want a root canal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I just had the radiation, and it was great. I was the last patient of the day, so I was their favorite patient of the day because I was the last. And
right.
They were like, we don't really like you. You're just the last one of the day.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah. So funny.
How many radiation treatments did you have?
I had, I believe, 36. It's every day, and every day in medical terminology is Monday through Friday, no weekends or holidays.
Okay.
Kind of like a bank.
Right.
Really.
So banking hours.
Yeah, banking hours. It took about 15 minutes.
Right.
And that's just it. And they treated me wonderfully. I expected to be treated like a number, and they treated me like I was their only patient of the day. Of course, that may have something to do with the fact that I was the last patient, and they were happy to see me.
Right.
It's like you're leaving, but really, it's radiation. You just lay on a table, and they put the beam down, and it just does its thing.
You lay there and
that's it. You can't move at all.
Take a nap?
Yeah, I did. Sometimes, even though it was the last, I would just lay there and close my eyes.
Right.
I could play music. I brought in, my mom got me a healing dolphin CD because she heard that dolphin sounds help with healing, and so I had them play that during radiation.
That's very cool.
And it creeped them out. They were like, Katie, the CD is really creepy. But they still played it,
So what's your advice for people to get that free mammogram? If it's offered, take it.
Yes, you should. Of course, you know, mammograms are expensive,
Extremely.
But, I think, especially if you're my age, even if you don't have a family history, it is good to ask your doctor, okay, I'm in my mid-30s, do you think this is a good idea? Or in my case, just pay for it, out of your pocket. If you think anything is wrong or you don't agree with anything that your doctor has to say, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to go to a different doctor. And I did a lot of internet research in my specific case, and that really helped me quite a bit. So I encourage people to be active participants in their healthcare, whether they have cancer or not. Do your research, ask questions. It's also good to talk to people who are older than you, even though it may have been 10, 20 years ago, because they do have valuable advice. I do attend a breast cancer support group, and most of those women are decades older than I am.
Yeah.
But some of them had their treatments, 10, 20 years ago.
And it was rough.
Yeah.
Their treatments were rough.
Right. And, like you said, there's been so many advancements, but they all acknowledge that. But still, I learned something from each one of them.
Yeah.
And, one of the things I didn't think about was getting an infection, which did not happen to me. But, they all said, oh, well, we got these infections and went into detail. And that kind of frightened me a little bit. I wasn't devastated by the news that I had breast cancer. I wasn't scared. But, I was like, oh, I didn't think about infection.
Yeah.
And this surgery, the partial mastectomy, was my first surgery.
Wow.
I'd had some outpatient type, the removing.
But your first, not go under the knife. And
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So the anesthesiologist was like, so how do you respond to this, asking all the questions they do. And I said, I have no idea. I guess we're going to find out on our way. So I didn't wake up during the surgery. So I guess
That's good.
Yeah,
You did it right.
He did it right.
Yeah.
So that was good.
It's such a great sense of humor about it. And I don't know, your sister's here, so I'm assuming that her how she responds and reacts to certain things. And when she told you, or when your mom told you, I don't know how you
I told her.
Well, she called everybody individually.
Good.
So there were a lot of tears. My mom and dad were the most shocked, I think, more so than she was.
Yeah.
She's the oldest, I'm the youngest.
Yeah.
So, it was kind of one of those, but it doesn't matter how you were born, you're still always your parents' babies.
Yeah.
But, it was fine. After she had her cancer, or her surgery, it was the 4th of July, and where we're from, it's a huge bash. They have this rodeo, they have carnival, they have all this stuff. So we were actually there, and we went down to a talent show for a country artist. It was like the Colgate Country
Showdown.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and there was a woman who sang Fight Like a Girl, and it was like 2 days after we'd had the surgery. She goes, I didn't know this was a country song. And I was like, yeah.
Bombshell.
So, yes. Bombshell.
Wow.
Yes. So, you know what? And she's been a real trooper. I mean, I'm really glad that she's taken it the way that she has.
Yeah.
But Katie's a bold woman who's not scared to push the limits.
Right.
Whereas I'm more like, here's my line, I'll stay right there.
Yeah.
So.
But had the tables been reversed, had it been you and you would have been the one called, do you think you would have pushed her? I mean, I wonder how.
I would have let her take the bulls by the horns. I would have said, do it for
Then
me.
tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, she's the youngest.
Yeah.
And so, as of course older sisters do, they kind of boss their sisters around.
Yes.
And they don't
I'm
always
the
take your
youngest.
advice. But, I'd be like, okay, are you asking the right questions? Because I have worked in medical offices.
Right.
There is a specific way that you do need to talk to doctors
Right.
sometimes. And so I probably would have, gone into older sister mode and been like, okay, this is what you're, doing. But I would have been pretty upset too.
Yeah.
I just, one of the things that Pink Together, when I, was telling them my story, they were surprised that after being told that, well, this is cancer, that I went back to work. And I didn't think that was a big deal. And I was like, really? You guys think that's a big deal? They were like, well, kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Most people wouldn't be able to do that. And I was like, really? And